DSLR Film Noob.
All right, guys, so what I've got for you today is the Valtrex DC50 field monitor. This is an 800 by 600 resolution monitor, and it seems to be a direct clone of the Sony CLM V55 monitor. Both of them have the same resolution, they both have the same cover, and they look darn similar. I don't know if this is an authorized clone or just a knockoff from China. This one's a lot cheaper than the Sony monitor, so let's take a closer look and compare it to its more expensive brethren. So right now I have the Sony and the Valtrex sitting next to each other. You can see they look pretty similar. You flip them on their sides and you'll notice that the Valtrex is a little bit fatter. You also notice that it has some extra inputs. The Sony has the HDMI as well as a headphone out, while the Valtrex has an HDMI in, a mini HDMI in, as well as an AV in. And I'm not 100% sure what that tiny port at the top is for. Flip this over and take a look at the controls. You'll notice one thing absent on the Sony monitor is this DC barrel port that you have right here. If you want to power this monitor off of something besides the batteries on the back, you can use this barrel port on the Valtrex, whereas the Sony doesn't have that. Valtrex does have this cheaper on-off switch right here. It's not nearly as nice as this hold for power. And you can see the push button scroll wheel. It's not quite a scroll wheel on the Valtrex, it's more of this like shift thing that you can push down, but it doesn't feel nearly as good as the clickiness of the Sony wheel right there. All right, one thing I will note, guys, is that the little adapter down here is not as strong on the Valtrex as it is on the Sony. If you do this, the Valtrex immediately falls down, whereas the Sony stays nice and stable. Turn this over and it kind of flops around a little bit. So this isn't exactly the quality that you get with the Sony adapter, and this could end up flopping around on your rig if you're using their cloned little Sony type device. Also, one thing to note is that the headphone jack on the Valtrex is down here at the bottom. It does have headphone out as well as volume control in the menus.
All right, so for this first test, I've taken both the Valtrex and the Sony out into direct sunlight. As you can see, neither one of these monitors performs very well in a bright, sunshiny environment. The flip-out hoods are cool, but they're relatively useless if it's a bright mid-afternoon day. In partially cloudy weather, the hoods do help a little bit. You really kind of need something that goes all the way around the monitor. As you can see, even the camera's LCD screen performs better than the Valtrex or the Sony in direct sunlight. You could, of course, attach a hoodman or something like that, but if you're going to do that, you might as well attach it to the camera.
All right, taking a closer look at the Valtrex monitor, let's look at the menus. So if you click here, you'll notice these look almost identical to what you get with the Sony monitor. If you've seen the menus on that, I'll have those displayed on the side here so you can look at those as well. You've got focus peaking, so let's check that out first, since that's probably what most of you are going to be interested in. Click on that, and here you have a couple options. You can have it displayed in black and white or in a shade of blue to make things easier to see. The focus peaking itself is simply a high contrast area, and you can see that little line moving across stuff. This is a F2 on a 135 on this Casio keyboard here. So it's pretty easy to see kind of what's in focus. You can also do that in the color mode as well. You can see that that's what your focus peaking looks like. Pretty much anything with that white haze on it is in focus.
Comparing the Sony's focus peaking feature, you'll notice right away that the Sony goes to black and white with this red indicator for the area that's in focus. I like the red a little bit better than I like the white band on the Valtrex, but still both of these monitors provide a decent focusing aid when working with shallow depth of field.
And then of course down here, you have volume control for your headphones out. So if you want to monitor audio and you do actually get audio out of your HDMI port, then you can use that feature. With the 5D Mark III's clean HDMI out, you do not get audio out, you simply get video out. So that is kind of useless on the 5D Mark III.
Taking a look at these two monitors side by side, you'll notice that the Sony has a slight lead in color reproduction. The orange on the cable looks a little bit nicer than it does on the Valtrex. The image overall on the Valtrex is a little bit washed out, while the Sony is a little bit more contrasty. These two are more similar than different, and for the price difference, I think most people would be willing to accept the quality of the Valtrex display.
I've been using the Sony V55 monitor for about a year and a half, 2 years. It's a replacement to my old Lilliput monitors. I've been using this DC50 monitor for about 2 months now, and I'd say the picture quality from both of these is more similar than different. Neither one of them are perfect for white balance, and I wouldn't be trusting the color temperature you're getting out of either one of these for proper white balance of your shots. You're still gonna wanna use a white card, and you're gonna wanna set that up in the camera. But both of them provide good focusing aids. Both of them have pretty similar features. If you have audio out of your HDMI port, both of them had headphone jacks. The Valtrex offers up a DC input with the barrel connector, so you have the option to power the monitor externally. The Sony has some kind of weird DC plug that doesn't match anything I've seen that you can power it with possibly. I don't know where you get that. The Valtrex also offers up a multiple HDMI inputs. It has a full size, a micro, and it also has a composite in, which is kind of handy if you still have stuff that uses composite. The Sony itself has a little bit of an advantage in build quality, but both of them are made out of plastic. Neither one of them are very solid at all, actually. The Sony has a little bit better parts. It's got the metal receiver right here for its little custom cold shoe adapter, and it does have an endless scroll wheel, which is a little bit nicer for menu selection, whereas the DC50 has this kind of clicky thing that's not that great feeling. This is a lot less expensive though than the Sony, and I think in the end that's where this Sony clone kind of wins. The Valtrex DC50 is pretty darn good value for the price, and it offers up a lot of the same features that the Sony monitor offers. Some will say that this is more of a premium device. I guess maybe, you know, that's up to personal opinion. They both feel pretty plasticky to me. I do love the covers on these monitors. It's really nice to have these. You don't have to put them in any kind of case or anything. You can just throw them in your bag and it protects the screen. So that's probably my favorite bit about both of these monitors. Wish they'd add that to the small HD monitors. That would be a very handy feature instead of that crappy glass glue-on thing that they have. But take a look at these side by side with that keyboard shot and decide which one looks best for you. I'll have more information on both of these monitors over at DSLRfilmnoob.com. You can check that out along with a full write-up, pictures, and all that. As always, thanks for watching, guys. If you like this content, please subscribe. Check out the crotch bar below for a behind-the-scenes look at this video review.